Oh my God.
All right, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jose Lopez, and growing up, my mom always made an emphasis to eat everything off our plates. She always made sure that we never wasted any food, and always emphasized not throwing out any food like most people would. When she was growing up, it was difficult for her. She grew up in tough times, and so did my family, and she showed us the importance of not wasting food. So people would donate food to us. She used to freeze it and then thaw it out whenever we needed some food. And when the milk spoiled, she didn't just throw it out. She made cheese out of it. When the food would go bad, she didn't throw it out. She would throw it in the backyard and let the animals pick at it. It was because of this experience I learned the ethics, and it taught me a lot on not wasting. Likewise, I use that to know the importance of recycling. And by the end of my presentation, I hope I can persuade everybody here that recycling should be mandatory in every state and city in the United States. So what is recycling? Recycling is basically converting something old into something reusable. In my opinion, there's also different types of recycling. There's something I like to call secondhand recycling, when you use something you don't want and put it to a better use. For example, if you have old shirts, you could just use it as a rag to clean something up instead of throwing it away. That way, you reduce the production of other stuff because you're not buying that other stuff. You're not buying those rags or those towels. You have something else to replace it. Why is it that recycling is not mandatory in all cities? Well, for one, it's the economic cost. Most people feel like recycling actually costs more than not to recycle, which is true to an extent. Mr. Munger from Times.com tells us that mandatory recycling means that I am being required with threats of fines or punishment to recycle products in ways that actually use more resources than if we just threw them away. So some people are actually afraid of the fines from not recycling, which is another reason why recycling may not have been passed in certain states and cities. Another reason why recycling may not be mandatory is something called downcycling. So St. Pierre from fitpeople.com tells us that downcycling is the process of converting waste materials or useless products into new materials or products of lesser quality, therefore reduced functionality. So some people don't like the idea of, let's say, recycling something into a cup. Now you have a recycled cup and it's not good as a brand new cup. Now, even though many organizations do not agree with mandatory recycling, there are still many more benefits to recycle than not to recycle. The thing is, we have to learn to be able to properly invest in recycling. If we are able to do this, it can actually negate the negative effect that it has on our economy. So, Earth Talk gives us an example that many cities have found ways to recycle economically. They have cut costs by scaling back the frequency of curbside pickups and automating, sorting, and processing. Now, this brings me to my main point. Why is it that we should recycle? Well, recycling actually creates jobs. In a single year, recycling and reuse activities in the U.S. accounted for 757,000 jobs in the U.S. in just 1 year. 36.6 billion in wages and 6.7 billion in tax revenue, and that's coming from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Recycling also reduces the emission of greenhouse gases. That is essentially us preventing the cause of global warming. So solid waste recycling stopped 32.9 million metric tons of toxic materials from moving into the air, and that's from Richards from cloverimaging.com. Recycling helps conserve materials. When we use recycling to make new stuff, we're preventing the need of virgin materials. So basically what what that tells us is that when we use materials to make a recycled cup, we don't have to use the rest of the world's resources to make a new cup. So essentially, we're stopping production on making new stuff because we already have stuff that's used to replace it. Recycling also helps preserve the environment and saves trees and waters. When you use recycled paper instead of virgin paper, you are accounting to save 7,000 gallons of water per ton of paper produced. The water can be better used to combating the offsets of drought. You're also offsetting the 900 million trees per year chopped down to make paper. That's from greenerideal.com. Lastly, recycling helps reduce landfill space. So instead of using landfill space for garbage, we can use it for something more practical, like parks or recreational places for our communities and societies. And this just brings me to my conclusion. Many people feel that recycling is bad when it's actually not. If it's properly invested in, recycling can help us better our economy, it can help the environment, overall increase the health of the world. People should honestly understand the ethics behind recycling because one man's trash is literally another man's treasure. That's it.